Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Welcome to Atomo. And happy Friday, January the 20th. And what I'd like to show you today is some of, ripping off the lair in front of Davos. A lot of courtesy in this one goes to Rebel News for getting out there to Davos and showing us some of the shenanigans that are going on. You want to do a little bit of Greta Doomberg here, and there's a couple good videos. So we'll do some. Let's take a look here. Some Greta Doomberg. So just to show you some of the shenanigans and how they, being the mainstream media, stages this. So what we'll start with is share sound. There we go. Screen. Okay. So what we have here, let's zoom this in. So what we have here is a staged protest at Davos. And you can see here is the Doomsburg herself sitting there under this Stop Ecocide sign. Well, this person is speaking. I'll roll the tape here. Just kind of notice. So the overall concept I want to put across here is what's the level of resolve of these people who are, trying to change our world, and the theory you want to put forward here, if they're really, 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 all in on this, then the behavior should follow. So if this was a real catastrophe that's happening, it's climate, world systems in general are very complex, and it's difficult to understand, well, what's the impact that we are having as humans on the world. If we were to all disappear, the world will still keep doing what world will do. Whether we're on the world and we're doing stuff, and I'd say we're not horribly creating a lot of catastrophe. I think as we level up our technology, that we actually get better and better at what we're doing. And there's a lot of Schellenberger, for example, one of the authors that talks about climate change and wants to push back against a lot of the narrative that's going out there. I think it's not necessarily science, as you see in this one poster, and there's a lot of other voices in the climate debate that need to be heard, not just the people that are making a lot of money off of this climate fear porn. Now, there are things that we can do to help abate and do things clean, especially in industries and in air, and so on and so forth, like forestry, planting trees and making sure they're replacing what they take, and systems like that. The sustainability is important. We're not saying that's not important. It's very, very important. But getting to the point where some of the ordinances that they're wanting governments to put forward are, as we know here, are just going over the top. But again, back to the resolve. So you see Greta Doomsberg right here. And if we play for a bit,
to keep lights on across the African continent, where over 600 million people don't have access to basic electricity. For a moment, we somehow had the world talking about the drought in the Horn of Africa, but now we've moved.
So notice the zoom in that happens there. They're going to zoom in on this person and watch what happens when they pull back out. I'll move this forward a bit for us so we don't have to go through all this rigmarole. It's just propaganda, that's all. All right, so I'll stop it there, and then let's run the tape again.
About the experiences of those on the front lines of the climate crisis. But this comes from a place place of compassion. This comes from a place of understanding. We need to protect.
Huh. Cool. Huh. Well, would you look at that? See, the Stop Genocide sign is down here now. And well, that's not Doomsburg. Where'd Doomsburg go? Let me just push the fast forward on here. Fast forward, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Where's Doomsburg? Hey. Hey, yay. Where's the star of the show? Okay, zooming in on some of these unknown stand-in people. Yeah, look at that. So quite a, and then there's some dispersing there. Yeah, so you saw no Doomsburg anymore. Disappeared. You know, you're not gonna glue your hands down to that road and lock arms and like weld chains around you and saying we're not going until those people in Davos come out here and address our concerns. So you can see all the media muppets and presstitutes all over that thing. Well, let's dig into this a bit deeper, and we got we got some thanks here with our Rebel News folk. Let's run this. You kind of get an idea of what's happening here.
It was the same old climate change protest with the same old climate change questions, where not a single member of the press asked anything critical or went remotely against the narrative.
Yeah, then there's a telling thing is presstitutes always throw softball questions, or they throw no questions at all. There's kind of there, roll the tape and walk away and kind of let the movie play out. They're not getting in there and asking difficult questions.
This cease and desist notice.
Then all of a sudden, mid-protest, Greta left. She looked visibly unwell. She disappeared down the street with her supporters, trying to convince reporters not to follow. The protest continued without her, but ultimately it was just a bizarre event put on for the benefit of the media.
So there you go, bizarre event put on for the benefit of the media. Thank you again, Rebel News, for doing this. Well, with resolve, here we go again. Love these people. They're out there doing great journalism here, and they found Doomsburg while she was walking down a street and just wanted to ask her some questions. And it's interesting, to hear this is getting into the psyche of some of these Davos muppets.
When it comes to solving things like climate change and heading in a different direction, do you agree with criminal damage caused by groups such as Just Oil in order to get the climate message across? Do you think it is justified?
Are they called Just Oil? That would not be a very good name for...
Sorry, Just Stop Oil.
Well, that was like one of the funniest things she said. I'll put the links to these videos below so you can look through them. But I think that was just the one of all the questions they were asking. She had one funny quip to the... they forgot Just Stop Oil and called Just Oil. But it would get a little bit more of... so what the journalists at Rebel News have been doing, they're asking those tough questions about, okay, well, how'd you get here? What sort of transportation did you take? How come you're protesting all this stuff, and yet it seems like you're with the establishment?
Opportunity right here. You don't seem to be taking it very seriously.
Sorry?
This is your opportunity to stop and tell us what you care about and what you're fighting against. You seem to be joining the establishment, not fighting them anymore. Are you not one of them?
One of who?
What, the people on the private jets and the helicopters flying in here to tell us how to live our lives?
Yes, because I have many private jets of my own, yes.
It's okay. I want to move here.
The point being, you have to condemn all of them equally, otherwise it's hypocrisy, right? No? I don't see how that's funny.
I don't take anything seriously, so I laugh all the time, so don't take it personally.
Okay.
Greta, where did you learn everything you know about things like climate change? Where did you learn all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish I knew.
Yeah, so I'll stop it there. So I was saying, yeah, that's a good question. I wish I knew. Out there, again, you can watch the video. She didn't have any script, so she didn't have any talking point. So she don't have the little piece of paper. Remember at the UN when she was saying, "How dare you?" She was reading off the script. I see in some comments that people are talking, well, her parents have put her up to this, and this is child abuse and stuff. She knows what she's doing. She's in on the grift. She's getting nice hotel rooms. She's getting private flights to go there. She's getting to hobnob with these people. She's the high priestess of the climate change activism, but it's controlled opposition. So using her to help build the narrative of these things, and you can see how shallow, even on that small clip, the level to which he thinks about this stuff. Says, I'll laugh at everything. I don't know where I know this stuff. Yeah, because it's all been fed to you, and she's playing her pawn piece on this chessboard, just like an NPC automaton. And it brings us to, there's another really good video that came from a lady by the name of Masako Ganaha, Japanese. I will fire this one up for us. Let's give it a moment here. And that one.
Chairman Schwab, I'm from Japan. May I ask you for? I'm from Japan.
Yeah?
And may I ask you for a comment?
No,
We're on our way to the next thing. We're a bit late.
I
but
can
thank
just
you.
walk with
Thank
you and then ask
I
questions.
think we're gonna rush actually. But thank you. Thanks very much.
Which media are you with?
I am an independent journalist from
Yeah,
Japan.
no, thank you very much.
Yes.
I have to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that was quite telling. So you saw the Grand Lizard himself. Somebody just wanted to ask him a comment. You'd think that if they had any sort of resolve about what they're doing, and given as you watch the videos about Davos and you look at the streets, that you can see why they picked this place. So some mountainous area in Switzerland somewhere, that it's difficult to get to. You'd have to pay a lot of money to go out there. So if you want to do some pretty heavy protesting against the WEF, that's going to cost you pretty penny to get out there and charter all the flights. Again, hats off to the Rebel News crew for taking on that expense to go out there. And you're not seeing streets full of demonstrators. You're not seeing things like you see in Paris. You're not seeing trucks honking their horns in protest. So somebody coming up and just wanting to ask and get some comments, here's an opportunity to engage with the little people whose lives perhaps you're trying to help, and to provide some of those comments. But here, can't even walk with this person for what, 100, 200 meters to your car, which are not electric, by the way. They use all the VIPs, as this reporter has found out. The VIPs use gas powered vehicles. They don't trust the electric vehicles because of brownouts and other things. So this lady has a video about that, where she goes and she even interviews, she doesn't go for the hobnobbing of the top. She goes down, she looks at, okay, well, the people who are actually running, putting on the production, you know, if you're watching the Truman Show and you're actually outside of the set, you know what's happening, you ask the people who are staging the stuff about what they think, then you can get some pretty interesting comments when you find the right people. So again, this just goes to the shallowness of it all. If these people had actual resolve and belief of what they're doing, they'd be able to answer these questions. They'd be able to basically not just slough them off, but to engage in some sort of meaningful discourse, because this is something that you should be really passionate about. But essentially what the WEF is, just you pay a lot of money to get the let's say privilege to get the invite to go to this place to, you know, rub each other's backs and come up with some sort of unified game plan. And if the thing that they're doing comes to fruition and you were there and you were playing your part to make it come to fruition, then you'll get a seat at the grand table when all your competition has been obliterated. So if I were in charge of one of the biggest hotel chains in the world and I were to obliterate all of the little hotels, because we can put in a whole rack of legislation, rules, and things to make it so difficult for independent operators that they'd all collapse, and then the bigs can just come in and take over. And you get, as you know, we've seen in other videos where Grand Lizard Schwab has even said, hey, we penetrated their cabinets, Canada for one. So that means they get to enact rules and policies to better some of these corporations, so that they get more benefits operating in some of these, let's call them friendly countries in air quotes, because the government is in cahoots with the organizations. This is corporatism. This is Mussolini's definition of fascism. When you got state and corporate powers in line with one another, you get fascism. And that's what we're seeing. And if people don't get a chance to, you know, people in our communities, in our countries that are impacted with these things don't get the appropriate level of discourse to have the conversations, then we start to head towards dark times. People are too complex for a one-size-fits-all solution. As much as you'd like to have equality all over the world, you know, people are not equal. We have different skills, we have different beliefs, we have creeds, lived experiences that are all different. And the overall point of this is just learning how to work together with all of this, taking all our differences and integrating them into a better whole. And again, this is what this podcast is all about. It's just showing light on where things are not working out. And then, you know, when I see things that are working out, well, throw them up here as well. So thank you for your attention. I'll put the links down below to these Rebel News clips and show them some love. Go like and subscribe. They're doing some great journalism. And see you next time.